God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead, scan the QR code now. Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Did you ever wonder public trust, national health, and global security are at stake as this documentary digs through thousands of pages of documents and interviews with former officials?
This is America's Voice Live.
And welcome to America's Voice Live. I'm Steve Gruber.
The pulse of the people.
We need somebody that's going to hear the people's voice.
The truth the mainstream won't touch.
This guy is, by definition, a globalist.
And the stories that matter.
Rav's own Ben Berquam.
Right up over this hill, we got an armed cartel. I see him.
Live.
Breaking news right now here on Real America's Voice.
Unfiltered.
These people are domestic terrorists.
And unapologetic.
We're here to take a stand for God and country. Let's feel good, doesn't it?
America's Voice Live starts now.
Welcome to America's Voice Live. I'm Steve Gruber. It's Friday, the 20th of February, year of our Lord 2026. We have a jam-packed show for you today from the recent ruling out of the Supreme Court this morning, striking down President Trump's global tariffs to a possible strike on Iran amid ongoing nuclear talks. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent will also be speaking in Texas on the economy, and that court ruling will take you there live as soon as that coverage comes in. In the meantime, let's get started here. President Donald Trump proved once again that tough trade policies actually work despite the Supreme Court ruling today. Under his leadership, tariff revenues have surged to record highs, climbing roughly 300% and bringing in tens of billions of dollars for the federal government. That's real money aimed at strengthening American industry, protecting workers, and putting America first. But in a major setback, the Supreme Court, not unexpectedly, ruled against the president's use of emergency powers to impose sweeping tariffs, limiting a key tool in his economic arsenal. This is what President Trump had to say just a short time ago about the ruling.
Our country is the hottest country anywhere in the world right now. And it was a dead country 1.5 years ago under an incompetent president. But now I'm going to go in a different direction, probably the direction that I should have gone the first time, but I read the language. I'm very good at reading language, and it read our way 100%. But now I'll go the way I could have gone originally, which is even stronger than our original choice. As Justice Kavanaugh, whose stock has gone so well, you have to see, I'm so proud of him, wrote in his dissent, although I firmly disagree with the court's holding today, the decision might not substantially constrain a president's ability to order tariffs going forward.
That's exactly right. The results speak for themselves. Historic revenue, a stronger negotiating position for the United States. Even with the ruling, Trump's trade strategy is not dead, as you just heard. There are other avenues, several in fact. Joining me to discuss this further, Director of Government Affairs and Global Strategy at NetChoice, Tim Phillips, as well as lawyer and legal expert Michael Wynn. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. Michael, I'm going to start with you. Your legal opinion here, this is really not a surprise. We heard the oral arguments. It was pretty clear in the tea leaves that the court was going to rule against the president here. But I guess their decision and their opinion and their logic has some people saying, how does that make sense? Either he has emergency powers or he does not. Your thoughts?
Yeah, the president was correct. He probably should have gone in this direction in any event. He tried to use a broad foreign policy
All right. Seems that we have lost our connection there. Here's what we're going to do. Hold on. We're going to go to Tim Phillips. Tim Phillips still standing by? Are you there, Tim?
I am, yes.
All right. So what is your take on this decision by the Supreme Court?
It's a tough setback for the president. He does have other options. He's already laying them out using Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974. That gives him the ability to take the action that he announced just a few minutes ago. Now, there is a time frame constraint, 150 days, But this stabilizes the situation while Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who I think is the best Treasury Secretary in my lifetime, will figure out other ways to move forward on these tariffs. So it's a setback. They've already identified a way around it. With this Section 122. And so I think this will help get where the administration, where the country wants to go here.
All right, so, gentlemen, I want to go to bite 8 here because the president talked about that. It's not just the law from 1974. It's also laws from 1930, specifically on tariffs. And here's what Donald Trump said about Section 232 and Section 301. Listen.
Effective immediately, all national security tariffs under Section 232 and existing Section 301 tariffs, they're existing, they're there, remain in place, fully in place, and in full force and effect. Today, I will sign an order to impose a 10% global tariff under Section 122 over and above our normal tariffs already being charged. And we're also initiating several Section 301 and other investigations to protect our country from unfair trading practices of other countries and companies.
All right, Tim, you heard him say it. It's there. It's in the law. A while. We had
pretty good feeling the Supreme Court was going to go this way. I like Kavanaugh's reasoning and his dissent. These laws just take longer to put in place. There's more tailoring, that to be more specific, not as broad-based. Your thoughts?
Yeah, the new tariffs that he announced under Section 122, it's a 10% global tariff. That gives some breathing space, some room while they look for other avenues, while the administration does. And then, as he mentioned, the two other sections of the trade code do remain in effect. And it's important to note here that the trade agreements that were reached with countries, they can remain in effect if those countries say, okay, maybe they were struck down, we don't have to do it, but we like this agreement. It's good for us. It's good for our country, our people, and it's also good for the United States. And the president made reference to that as well during his remarks.
You talk about these big trade deals. These are important. India, Japan, several other major trade deals. And I want to go back to Robert Lighthizer, 2017, part of the original Trump administration. They specifically singled out China, saying, look, they're a threat to the United States for this reason, and this reason. If you tailor tariffs specifically to a government, China specifically, that is, in the opinion of the administration, a threat to national security or a variety of other things, they can go down that road as well, can't they?
They absolutely can. And China clearly qualifies as a geopolitical threat, a risk to our nation. They're our main rival around the world. They mean us harm, and they've taken advantage of us for decades now. And I'll tell you, I've moved on this. I opposed the president first term on these tariffs with regard to China, but I finally came to realize they are never going to operate in good faith. The communist government there is a dictatorship that means us harm, and they continue to steal our intellectual property. They continue to not open up their market while gladly taking our market, which we had opened up in good faith. So the president is right. I do think he'll be able to do what he needs to do with China, which is the greatest threat, the greatest risk to our nation, and specifically to our economy and to our manufacturing base. And I do think a lot of these agreements with countries will stay in place. The investments that these countries, whether it's the UAE or the Saudis or others, have locked into the United States for new manufacturing here, I believe that's right. Going to continue as well. So thankfully, a lot of the momentum is already in place here, despite this decision.
Well, the Supreme Court also left a huge elephant in the room, Tim, and that is, okay, right. If these tariffs have been struck down, the discussion now is, do you return the money? And if so, how? Right. Do they go to the companies? Did they go to consumers who ended up paying more for certain items in the store because of tariffs? It's as clear as mud today. That could take 10 years of litigation, and that's not a joke. That's not hyperbole. It could take 10 years sorting out who gets what money and when. I mean, that's a huge problem the court created today. Yes or no?
It is. Justice Kavanaugh, in his dissent, pointed out that very fact. I think he called it a mess, is the term that he used, which is a fairly complicated judicial term, I think. But he pointed that out. They left it apparently to lower courts to figure out, which means it's going to be a hodgepodge of decisions all over the various courts, the circuits across the United States. And it'll be different from industry to industry, and I guess from nation to nation if they choose to walk away from the agreements that are in place with the United States and negotiated with President Trump. It is going to be difficult. I don't know what they're going to do. Kavanaugh's dissent pointed that out. It's around 200 billion, just a hair under $200 billion that's out there now. It's going to be walking through lower courts, I suspect, for years to come now.
Years. Absolutely years. The only people that are cheering today, besides the Democrats, are the trial lawyers. Oh, they're happy.
Yeah.
Oh, their bills are going to ring up big, and they're going to make a lot of money out of the attorneys on this. I want you to hear one more thing the president had to say. This happened just a short while ago, taking questions from the press. Listen.
Sir, you warned once in a social media post that if the Supreme Court did this, shot down your tariffs, the U.S. would be, quote, financially defenseless. Are we financially defenseless right now?
No, because we're doing something in a different way. We're doing something in a very powerful way. And we're using things that some people thought we should have used in the first place. But it's more complicated. It's a little more complicated. The process takes a little more time. But the end result is going to get us more money. And I think it's going to be great. Yeah.
So do you agree with the president on that?
I do. They clearly had workarounds ready. Secretary Bassett had this ready, Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974, which they used to be able to execute the new 10% global tariff. They basically knew this decision or thought this decision was coming. They were clearly ready for it. The president's team, again, led by Bassett and others, I'm sure Lutnick and others as well, they were ready, and they moved within, an hour and a half of the decision with this new authority, which it does have a time constraint on it. I think it's 150 days, but that will give some breathing space to figure out additional measures for the administration.
Yeah, but like you said and pointed out, big trade deals with Saudi Arabia, India, Japan, the EU, all of these deals, they've been made. And they were made because of tariffs. Let me ask you one more thing that I find terribly ironic, and that is all the Democrats taking a victory lap. The Democrats have consistently called this Supreme Court illegitimate, saying that they need to pack the court, they need to have term limits, and so on and so forth. You've heard it all. And here they are cheering the Supreme Court. I guess that proves the Supreme Court isn't in the pocket of Donald Trump. Last word to you.
Well, the clown show that the Democrats and the left have become was in full force today. We may, in years to come, with a Democrat president, God forbid, eventually if it happens or when it happens, this decision will be able to stop climate change emergency declarations or other things like that. And the Democrats will probably rue the day that went out on a limb so far just because they're so filled with Trump derangement syndrome.
Tim, really appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much for your input. A lot to come on this still. Like we said, litigation could last for a decade. And be careful what you wish for. This was not a surprise to me or many other observers of the court. In fact, it was fully expected to come down this way. And trust me, Scott Bessent and the others, Howard Lutnick, the president himself, have all been planning for this day, and seems to me they're up for it. Now, coming up after the break, I'll be discussing rising tensions with Iran, the other huge story of the day, as President Trump indicates he may call for a strike within 10 days if Iran does not come to a nuclear deal. I believe it'll be a lot sooner. When Trump says 10 days, you might have 10 minutes. Details after the break.
Yeah. They feed you headlines, cut the frame, say it loud enough, call it fact. Change the words, dodge the blame, sell the lie, then double back.
From Real America's Music, the label that brought you Anthem of the Free, The Boss, and Somali Waltz, comes a brand new anthem built for a distrustful age. Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers.
Bomb, tick, tick, truth
talks about distrust of institutions, media manipulation, shifting government narratives, big tech censorship, cancel culture, and ideological silencing. The culture needs a truth bomb, and this track delivers. Download it now. Scan the QR code or search Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers on iTunes. We've broken records before. Let's do it again together.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead, scan the QR code now. Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Did you ever wonder what truly happened in the COVID-19 pandemic and whether Anthony Fauci would ever be held accountable? I think we all have. Filmmaker Jenner First has an upcoming documentary that searches for truth, transparency, and accountability called Thank You, Dr. Fauci.
Governments lie.
Anthony Fauci put everyone on the planet at risk without their consent.
It's beyond suspicious.
Research caused a pandemic, killed 20 million, and cost $25 trillion. Fauci would prefer a lie.
Public trust, national health, and global security are at stake as this documentary digs through thousands of pages of documents and interviews with former officials and whistleblowers in the most controversial narrative of our time that may also be one of the largest cover-ups in modern public health history.
There was a cover-up.
Why would he trade the Chinese the most advanced biotechnology in the world?
He's a spy. It's insane.
I don't think this is going to be foolproof. Things are going to slip through.
Fauci knew and lied repeatedly.
Rather than being a partisan hit piece, Thank You, Dr. Fauci is an honest look at the origins of COVID-19 and a potential bioarms race with China.
Well, the other big story of the day is Iran. President Trump standing strong on national security, telling reporters at the White House that he is considering a limited military strike on Iran to pressure Tehran into agreeing to a meaningful nuclear deal, not endless negotiations or weak concessions. President Trump made it clear that this would be a full-scale war, but wouldn't be a full-scale war, that is, but a measured show of strength aimed at bringing Iran back to the table and stopping its dangerous nuclear ambitions before they threaten America or our allies. This comes, of course, after President Trump stated that he will decide on a strike within 10 days. But come on, when Trump says 10 days, I'd be listening for helicopters. Join me to discuss this, former Navy SEAL and FBI Special Agent Jonathan Gilliam. Jonathan, nice to see you again.
Good to be with you, my friend.
When the president says 10 days, you don't have 10 days. My experience with this commander-in-chief. Let's just start with that. Your thoughts. How soon could this happen?
Well, I would say my opinion is that you may not have 10 days. You might, but you may not. That's the way he tends to work these things. I don't know. To be honest with you, the rhetoric that I see him, or the narrative that I see President Trump say publicly sometimes, like this in particular, I think a lot of the times it has to do with who's advising him and some of the political decisions that are being pushed and that sway him one way or the other. I just have a feeling if it was just President Trump and he did not have the handlers that he has, and President Trump does have handlers. I don't mean like Joe Biden had handlers, but President Trump has handlers that are advising him politically at the same time tactically. And he has to measure what those people say. And I can kind of tell when those people have a bit more power than the political, the war fighters. And I think this is one of those situations because Iran, I think we've gone way beyond the effectiveness of dealing with Iran. I think Israel and the United States showed that Iran is, when it comes to conventional war and putting them in their place, they are a paper tiger. And it's just time for that regime to go away. And I think we kind of blew it a little bit with the uprising. I think we had a real opportunity there. A lot of those people are going to be scared to actually react or act now. And but I still think that Iran is all threat, mostly by bark with no bite. But their expertise is in running proxy wars, some terrorist attacks, and their intelligence. Their intelligence is where they're really good at, putting a narrative and propaganda out there. And I just would like to see President Trump go with his gut. And I think if he went with his gut on this, I truly believe that he might actually, it wouldn't be 10 days. He might actually hit them. I think what you saw in Venezuela is Trump following his gut and listening to the experts in war fighting.
I agree. And in fact, if I woke up tomorrow morning and we were getting news reports of an overnight strike on Tehran and the regime, I wouldn't be surprised, Jonathan. Neither would you. It's the biggest buildup of U.S. military forces in the Middle East since 2003. The concern for many is that somehow we end up with boots on the ground. I don't see that. We might see the Army Rangers. We might see some special forces on the ground doing some tactical things. But I do not see this as a protracted war if we strike Iran within 10 days. Your thoughts on that?
I think the bigger of a buildup that we have over there, the more successful any type of special forces or JSOC type of operation, which is what you saw in Venezuela, the more likely you will to be able to go in and destroy or kill or take whoever you want. And so I think that's what President Trump has done is given himself options. And that could be, I could be totally wrong where he is weighing more of an option of what he wants, and he just takes his time. I mean, President Trump is very good at taking time when many of us want it we want it done. And so he's really good at that. But my fear, again, is the career diplomats and this belief that they've had over years and years since World War II that diplomacy can solve these problems. When you're dealing with Iran, you're dealing with a rabid dog. You're not dealing with a dog that you can train. You're dealing with somebody who is rabid. And so I think the buildup has put us in a good position. Yes.
Yeah. Let me ask you one more thing, because the critics online, social media, in that bubble, some of the loudest critics say, why are we fighting Israel's war again? That's one of the loudest criticisms. I'll give you the last word on that for today, Jonathan.
Well, this is our war. This is everybody's war. Iran has been the central problem in spreading terrorism, in injuring our commerce, and actually threatening our nation and our national security. This goes far beyond just Iran and Israel and their relationship. This goes into the people that you see protesting on the ground. Where do you think all that rhetoric, all that narrative and propaganda comes from in support of Hamas that the left has latched onto? That's all coming from Iran's intelligence agencies. That's why Iran is not just a terroristic threat. They're not just a threat to Israel. They are a threat to the American way of life because of how good they are at using propaganda and intelligence, as we see, to sway an entire population. That is where they're really good at, or where they're really good, and that is why they need to be chopped off at the knees.
Jonathan Gilliam, always appreciate your direct answers. I do appreciate it. We'll see. I don't think they have 10 days either, Jonathan. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Thank you for being here today.
You got it. Thank you.
All right. After the break, Hunter College drawing backlash after telling U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents they can't enter campus buildings without a judge's order. Yet another example of Democrats getting in the way of enforcing immigration law, federal law. Details coming up on this Friday edition of America's Voice Live.
Your soul. They want silence, they want calm, they want you numb, they want you gone, but pressure builds and something breaks. When truth gets dropped, it shakes.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shopped. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again. Every dollar you give is being matched up to $50,000. Go now to j6support.com and donate today. From powerhouse vocalist Natasha Owens, known for standout singles like Trump One and Somali Waltz, comes her brand new release, The Boss, released on Real America's Music. This is the direct response to Bruce Springsteen's recent release, The Streets of Minneapolis. While Springsteen once branded himself as a voice of the working class, The Boss gives a voice to everyday Americans and reminds listeners who truly shapes the future. The Real America's Voice audience has the power to move charts and shake the industry. Download it right now. Scan the QR code or search The Boss on iTunes. Push it up the charts. Make them notice.
This is Diane from Rhode Island. Why do I love Real America's Voice? Because they deliver us facts from hosts who love America and love God. What's not to like?
It's Mama Love in northern Minnesota. You know, a collective voice is much louder than a single voice. Thanks, Rev, for giving us a place to chat and connect. See y'all in chat.
Hunter College's president drawing sharp criticism after announcing that immigration and customs enforcement agents would not be allowed on campus without a judicially signed order. That stance goes even if agents claim federal authority. According to the college's January statement, officials say they are legally barring ICE from entering campus buildings unless an agent presents a valid order. It's a policy, the administration says, protects student privacy and university autonomy. Stance could hinder lawful federal enforcement and complicate cooperation with national immigration laws. Supporters of the policy frame it as defending students' rights, but is that really the case? I think you know the answer. Joining me to discuss, campus reform correspondent Francis Capper. Francis, how can a college tell law enforcement when and where and how they can be anywhere on campus? I mean, if you have a criminal in a lecture hall for a local crime or a state crime, they don't tell the police when they can come in and arrest somebody, a professor or a student, but they think they can do it with federal law enforcement. I think they're out of their lane here, Francis. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely, sir. First of all, thank you for having me on. And as you said, they're saying ICE can't go on campus without a warrant, and this is just blatantly false. That's bad because ICE agents are federal agents, and they're upholding federal law, the law of the United States of America. And they're completely out of line, trying to use authority that they do not have by saying that ICE cannot come on campus without a warrant. And that's just completely false. That is not the case. ICE has the jurisdiction to enter campus when they want to carry out federal law, federal immigration law.
Yeah, would you tell an FBI agent they're not allowed on campus? A member of the Internal Revenue Service coming to question somebody about their tax return. The fact of the matter is you have a supremacy clause in the United States Constitution, right?
Absolutely. And they're sort of giving special distaste and distreatment towards ICE agents, even though they're just federal agents conducting federal law. The important thing to remember here is that Hunter College is a taxpayer-funded institution. They're a public college. So taxpayers like you and me and the viewers are paying for this school to put out announcements saying that they're not going to support the feds, they're not going to support the U.S. government, and blatantly, that is bad and that is wrong. These colleges should be supporting the government and federal agents rather than trying to impede them.
You know, my bigger question is this. Colleges are supposed to be places of intellectual advancement, of higher learning, of, you know, the sharing of ideas that people may or may not agree with, but they want everybody repeating and parroting the same lines, and they're instilling in these college kids a hatred for America that probably started in elementary school, sadly, but they continue to foment this outrage at the American government that's just trying to take criminals off the streets and make America a safer place. I mean, it makes no sense to me, but what about the impression left on students? I think that's damaging. Your thought?
It sure is, sir. These colleges are definitely forcing a message down on these students from the staff. The Leadership Institute's campus reform has reported on this instance multiple times across multiple campuses. For example, the University of Minnesota was giving out ice whistles, physical whistles, so that students, staff, and citizens, when they see ICE agents, they could blow the whistle so that illegals know to run away and activists know to run in and try and stop them. Moreover, Emily Sturge with Campus Reform reported on multiple universities and colleges in Chicago that had live ICE maps that were actively tracking the location of ICE agents throughout the area of those schools so that illegals knew how to flee and so that activists knew how to run in and stop them and bother these ICE agents. And this is really bad. This is not good. And as you said, they're forcing these ideas on these students. And these students are going to carry these ideas outside of the classroom whenever they graduate from these universities and colleges.
Yeah, I think America at large is growing weary with all of this. Francis, thank you for being here. It's an important story. We'll continue to cover it here. Thank you for stopping in. For too long, Americans have been trapped in a broken healthcare system that forces one-size-fits-all solutions. America's Health Share offers an alternative that supports faith, family, and personal freedom in healthcare. This is not insurance. This is a health freedom model. America's Health Share is a member-driven community where people share and manage their healthcare together. We believe healthcare should be affordable, transparent, and aligned with your values, free from surprise bills or skyrocketing premiums. It focuses on prevention, personalized care, and keeping families healthy for the long term. America deserves health sovereignty, every one of us. The freedom to lead our own lives and our own healthcare journeys with the treatments, insights, and support we need. America's Health Share is built on community, patriotism, and the freedom to make healthcare decisions that reflect your values and conscience. We support therapies that are ethical, effective, and tailored to you, not a one-size-fits-all mandate. Go to joinahsnow.org/RAV to get started today. Membership starts as low as $68 for an individual, $136 for a couple, or $276 for your whole family. Take control. Stand for freedom in healthcare. Join ahsnow.com. ahsnow.org/RAV. That's join ahsnow.org/RAV. Coming up after the break, TPUSA face Make Heaven Crowded Tour recently stopped in Nashville as part of its national run. I'll take a look at it when we come back.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shopped. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again. Every dollar you give is being matched up to $50,000. Go now to j6support.com and donate today. From powerhouse vocalist Natasha Owens, known for standout singles like Trump One and Somali Waltz, comes her brand new release, The Boss, released on Real America's Music. This is the direct response to Bruce Springsteen's recent release, The Streets of Minneapolis. While Springsteen once branded himself as a voice of the working class, The Boss gives a voice to everyday Americans and reminds listeners who truly shapes the future. The Real America's Voice audience has the power to move charts and shake the industry. Download it right now. Scan the QR code or search The Boss on iTunes. Push it up the charts. Make them notice.
This is Diane from Rhode Island. Why do I love Real America's Voice? Because they deliver us facts from hosts who love America and love God. What's not to like?
It's Mama Love in northern Minnesota. You know, a collective voice is much louder than a single voice. Thanks, Rav, for giving us a place to chat and connect. See y'all in chat.
All right, coming up on Sunday, Turning Point USA Faith's Make Heaven Crowded tour swept into Nashville, Tennessee during its nationwide run of gospel-centered gatherings, calling people to repentance, faith, and bold obedience to Jesus. It was hosted at the Outreach Church. The evening brought together worship, ministry, and music designed to encourage believers and invite others to encounter hope and truth in Jesus Christ. Hundreds gathered to hear voices rooted in biblical conviction, celebrating a movement that aims to strengthen faith and remind people of the eternal promise. As part of a tour spanning more than 30 cities, Sunday's stop in Music City reinforced the simple, timeless message: share the gospel boldly and invite others to know Christ. TPUSA continues Charlie Kirk's legacy in spreading the gospel, bringing people closer to God and our Savior. Amen to that. Pretty good, right? All right, let's shift gears a little bit. The Bears are out of Chicago, at least it looks that way. It's not final yet. Another hit for the city already struggling with crime, debt, and decline. The mayor of the city, useless as always. Here he is.
Is my face straight? Okay. All right, let me keep a straight face here. The Bears belong in the city of Chicago. The Chicago Bears belong in the city of Chicago, right? And I've said repeatedly that the door is always open for conversations, and Kevin Warren did call me yesterday. We didn't get a chance to connect, and I still firmly believe that their best position is in Chicago, and it's evidence. The evidence is clearly speaking for itself.
Well, the evidence is this. The Bears are sick of it. Hammond, Indiana, just over the line between Illinois and Michigan. Hammond, Indiana, well, that's where the city has made a deal to build a brand new stadium for the Bears. How bad does it have to be the Bears are a legacy image of Chicago. How bad does Chicago have to be for the Bears to say, we're out of here? Let that sink in. If you think your mayor's bad, check that guy out. Stephen A. Smith daring California Governor Gavin Newsom to come on his podcast and answer for the state's homelessness, crime, defund the police policy, sanctuary status, and billions in debt. It's a long list, and, well, Stephen A. Smith rips it pretty well right here.
Gavin Newsom, 22%. Still waiting for you to come on the show, Mr. Governor. Still waiting. Still waiting, Gavin Newsom. I keep telling you it's going to be far more pleasant than you realize. Because I just want to ask questions and I want to listen to your answers. I don't want a got you moment. I don't want to make you uncomfortable. I don't want to go back and forth with you, interrogating you like I'm some prosecutor or whatever. I simply want you to answer for your state about the homelessness that Obama just alluded to, which he labeled an embarrassment, about the crime, about defunding police, about being a sanctuary city and state, about billions in debt. About homelessness. Where's the answer to those questions?
Just a few questions, Mr. Governor. Why have you dumped all over California? Just a few questions. By the way, Governor Newsom, you're always welcome on this program as well. You will be treated with respect, I guarantee it, but we will have real questions. He doesn't go to a place that answers real questions, though. Not very often. On Fridays, I try to share with you the dumbest thing I've heard all week. And other than her babbling at the Munich Security Conference, is AOC attempting to woman-splain men. Woman-splain men. It's always the loudest, least healthy, most dominant women harping about toxic masculinity. Watch the camera pan on a woman shaking her head yes to the BS AOC says she exploits the most. Basis and worst parts of human nature, taken from her words, folks. Just listen.
And they are able to radicalize and target and exploit a generation of young boys, in particular, away from healthy masculinity and into an insecure masculinity that requires the domination of others who are poorer, browner, darker, or a different gender than them. And that is why they are resonating online, because they are appealing to the most basest and worst parts of human nature to divide.
Oh, yeah, that toxic masculinity. You know, that went up Omaha Beach, that went to Guadalcanal, that takes out the trash and shovels the driveway when it snows. That toxic masculinity. What a terrible thing. Do you think our medication's okay? I mean, just between you and I. I'm thinking it needs to be checked. That is the dumbest thing I've heard all week. But before we go to break, I want to inform you that the new release from Real America's Music, Truth Bomb, by the Ram Collective, The Truth Bombers, now available for download. Scan the QR code you see on your screen right now and get it. Let's take a look as we go to break.
Yeah. They feed you headlines, cut the frame, say it loud enough, call it fact. Change the words, dodge the blame, sell the lie, then double back.
From Real America's Music, the label that brought you Anthem of the Free, The Boss, and Somali Waltz, comes a brand new anthem built for a distrustful age. Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers. Talks about distrust of institutions, media manipulation, shifting government narratives, big tech censorship, cancel culture, and ideological silencing. The culture needs a truth bomb, and this track delivers. Download it now. Scan the QR code or search Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers on iTunes. We've broken records before. Let's do it again together.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shopped. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again. Every dollar you give is being matched up to $50,000. Go now to j6support.com and donate today. From powerhouse vocalist Natasha Owens, known for standout singles like Trump One and Somali Waltz, comes her brand new release, The Boss, released on Real America's Music. This is the direct response to Bruce Springsteen's recent release, The Streets of Minneapolis. While Springsteen once branded himself as a voice of the working class, The Boss gives a voice to everyday Americans and reminds listeners who truly shapes the future. The Real America's Voice audience has the power to move charts and shake the industry. Download it right now. Scan the QR code or search The Boss on iTunes. Push it up the charts. Make them notice.
This is Diane from Rhode Island. Why do I love Real America's Voice? Because they deliver us facts from hosts who love America and love God. What's not to like?
It's Mama Love in northern Minnesota. You know, a collective voice is much louder than a single voice. Thanks, Rav, for giving us a place to chat and connect. See y'all in chat.
You know, when you celebrate too early, bad things happen. Well, the left and their friends in the corporate media are acting like the fight is already over, but February victory laps don't win November elections, now do they? If 2026 has taught us anything so far, it's this. Voters decide, not pundits. And if we want to win the midterms, we better stay focused on what actually moves people. The economy will drive turnout. Families want lower prices, stronger jobs, real stability, that's for sure. That's why we must ensure to elect the people to office who stand for American values, who will support President Trump's agenda abroad, whether they be congressional candidates or running for governor. Joining me to discuss this is one of those individuals running for governor in the great state of Texas, Doc Pete Chambers. He's also a retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel, Green Beret, and a physician. Doc, well done. Nice resume. You got a lot to offer. What's it going to take to win the state of Texas?
It's going to take what's stated in the Constitution of the state of Texas. All political power is inherent in the people. And when the people are the organic, and I'm talking about beyond grassroots, when they rise, then they have. We're in a pretty good race right now. Of course, the mainstream media won't talk about any of this, but we're right on Abbott's tail, essentially, and we're just doing what we do, which is, as a Green Beret, we win. So what
would you do differently?
Oh, well, we have to realize, and we have to call what it is. And we have a color revolution going on. You talk, General Flynn, he'll tell you a 5th generation warfare, but it's beyond that. It's a hybrid color revolution that's taking place in this nation right now. I've seen it in many countries downrange this is insidious and onset. And we can see it in places like Dearborn and in New York, where cultures are shifted, but the cultures are shifted. And then people like AOC, you just had her on, they use narratives to create a disenfranchised nation. And when you do that as a Green Beret, that's what we look for. And I smelled it coming down the road. I left the Texas National Guard in 2022, not considering running for governor, but I was asked to. And we did a feasibility study, and what I would do different. First, I'd truly be able to secure that border. We got a good president right now. He's stopped it, put a tourniquet on it, and that's great. But we've got to think further down the line, what happens if? And in the state of Texas, when I worked that border, we had 12,500 people coming across a week, and we cannot sustain that.
No, we certainly cannot, because they don't just stay in Texas. They disperse all over the nation and create problems, milk safety net funds and everything else. What about making it affordable for families? What can a governor do to make the bills
so the governor
seem less?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yeah, sorry, we little delay. What we can do is we have the bully pulpit. Now, the lieutenant governor of the state of Texas has the most perceived power because they heard the cats, and we don't run on the same ticket. And what I mean by that is the House and the Senate in Texas. But the governor has the bully pulpit, once again, the people. And it's my job to then, garner that support so that we can go to the legislators and make something happen. Texas hasn't decreased taxes in the last 11 years. We've only increased. We're number 6 in the nation. We got to do better. We're sitting at number 40 in education out of 50 states. We got to do better. We're the 8th largest economy in the world because of the triangle and crude oil in Texas and natural gas, we can supply the world. We can supply the United States. But we've got to get smart about what we're doing from the governor's position, not to set the conditions for the local level taxes to tax out the middle class.
Well, speaking of money, real quick, Doc, it takes a lot of money to win an election. Tell the folks where they can find you if they like what they've heard so far.
Sure. Yes, sir. It's docpetechambers.org. We're going to make it to the primary on the 3rd, but docpetechambers.org, you can give there, and that'll keep us getting down the road, and we've got to go beyond. We've had a great push in the last couple of weeks. We've tripled what we got in the last month, so that's showing you that people are paying attention.
Doc, good meeting you. Thank you for being here. I wish you well in your race.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Now, February, National Cancer Prevention Awareness Month. Now, more than ever, we need to be asking what each of us can do to lower our chances of cancer. And if you or a loved one is battling cancer, we need to make sure that no stone is left unturned in the effort to stay healthy and alive. That's where the Wellness Company comes in today. You know the Wellness Company, great doctors like Dr. Kelly Victory, Dr. Peter McCullough on this program regularly. The Wellness Company and its doctors are medical professionals that you can trust. The Wellness Company is committed to providing safe, low-cost alternatives to big pharma. From ivermectin to methylene blue to their fantastic new product, Shield, and so much more, the Wellness Company gives you the opportunity to make the promise of the MAHA movement a reality for you and your family. This February, let's take control of our health. Go to twc.health/voice today in order. That's twc.health/voice. Use the promo code VOICE to save 10%. Prepare now, don't wait. All right, after the break, something important, a big story that reminds us of how wonderful America is, plus answers to the America's Voice question of the day. What are your thoughts on the Supreme Court striking down President Trump's tariffs? We'll be right back.
They feed you headlines, cut the frame, say it loud enough, call it fact. Change the words, dodge the blame, sell the lie, then double back. They say trust us, don't ask why, look away, don't use your eyes. But truth don't need a costume, truth don't hide.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shopped. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again. Every dollar you give is being matched up to $50,000. Go now to j6support.com and donate today. From powerhouse vocalist Natasha Owens, known for standout singles like Trump One and Somali Waltz, comes her brand new release, The Boss, released on Real America's Music. This is the direct response to Bruce Springsteen's recent release, The Streets of Minneapolis. While Springsteen once branded himself as a voice of the working class, The Boss gives a voice to everyday Americans and reminds listeners who truly shapes the future. The Real America's Voice audience has the power to move charts and shake the industry. Download it right now. Scan the QR code or search The Boss on iTunes. Push it up the charts. Make them notice.
This is Diane from Rhode Island. Why do I love Real America's Voice? Because they deliver us facts from hosts who love America and love God. What's not to like?
It's Mama Love in northern Minnesota. You know, a collective voice is much louder than a single voice. Thanks, Rav, for giving us a place to chat and connect. See y'all in chat.
What makes America wonderful? We do it every day, of course, to put a smile on your face, this time before the weekend. Today's story comes to us from the National Religious Broadcasters Convention. It occurred in Nashville this week. It's one of the nation's largest annual conventions of Christian communicators, including pastors, ministry leaders, and faith-based media professionals. The event draws participants from across the United States and around the world for conversations on public policy, media strategy, church growth, and cultural engagement. Real America's Voice correspondent Bo Davidson was in Nashville. Let's take a look.
Well, hey, Steve, yes, I'm at the National Religious Broadcasters Convention in Nashville, Tennessee at Gaylord Opryland. So great to be back in Tennessee, which is actually my hometown. And, you know, this conference happens every single year, and it is the largest gathering of Christian communicators. And we're talking digital, social, broadcasters like us, Real America's Voice, and the direction we're headed with Real America's Faith and Family, creating wonderful Christian content that can be communicated and spread all across the world and advance the kingdom of God. And just to give you an idea, Steve, of some of the people who are here, of course, I interviewed Jensen Franklin, a great pastor who has a show on Real America's Voice on Sundays. In addition, we have Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, who you've had on the show many, many times. The presence of Michelle Bachman of the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. Seth Dillon, who, of course, created the Babylon Bee, which is a lot of fun. Lucas Miles of Turning Point Faith, Tony Perkins of FRC, the great Christian artist Michael W. Smith, who performed here at this event, John Schlitt, the lead singer of Petra, big presence from Angel Studios, and even actually a lot of the sponsors that we have often on RAVI. John Jubilee walked by just a moment ago. Patriot Mobile has a big presence here as well. And then I had a really unique opportunity, Steve, to speak with Kathy Ireland. Now, our audience is going to know who Kathy Ireland is, the great supermodel from Sports Illustrated. But what's so unique about Kathy is that faith has led her mission for a long time now, but only more recently has she put those Christian ethics, let's say, into practice. So I had the chance to speak with her and find out why faith is guiding her entrepreneurial vision. And if you just look up anything about Kathy Ireland, you'll know that her business model is unbelievable, but she's putting it now into the ethical treatment of employees, of her products, to ensure that she's doing the right thing and leading with the Spirit of God. And I think just to have someone like Kathy Ireland here at this conference is inspiring. It's encouraging. And I think you'll find in this interview that I did with her, which people will be able to find probably online, that she's such a joyous person. She has God inside of her, and it's so unique and wonderful to find someone who's so successful and who's been rewarded in life in their business because they've led with faith. And just having that navigational beacon, I think, is so important in our life and our business and in every aspect of everything we do. So I'm honored to be here at the NRB this year in Nashville, and we've got so many wonderful people who've been here. And I think it's also important for our viewers to know that, you know, RAV is leading the way in terms of being a Christian communicator. A lot of Judeo-Christian values being presented here, religious liberty. Mark Walker will be here of the National Religious Liberty Commission. So just a really wonderful consortium of Christian communicators, a great presence from Israel as well to make sure that we ensure that religious liberty is protected. And that's kind of the theme of what's going on here, Steve. Back to you.
All right, Bo. Thank you, Bo. Very well done. Now, I know a lot of you are upset about what happened with the Supreme Court today. We'll get to your comments about that, not today, but on Monday. But if you want to hear my thoughts on it, I just posted on my social media on X, Facebook, and Instagram, my quick take on what happened. The big decision is actually coming next week, much more important. You may have lost the battle. You did not lose the war. Keep the faith, my friends, and I'll see you Monday morning at 6 a.m. and then again for America's Voice Live.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shopped. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again. Every dollar you give is being matched up to $50,000. Go now to j6support.com and donate today. From powerhouse vocalist Natasha Owens, known for standout singles like Trump One and Somali Waltz, comes her brand new release, The Boss, released on Real America's Music. This is the direct response to Bruce Springsteen's recent release, The Streets of Minneapolis, while Springsteen once branded himself as a voice of the working class. The world doesn't slow down because you're tired. And weakness gets exposed. That's why the best take Go Pills. Born for military performance, built for high-pressure days when your brain has to move faster than the chaos. This is neurotransmitter support, helping your mind fire clean signals so you can process data fast, decide fast, and stay locked in when it matters. Packed with safe, proven ingredients designed to boost cognitive performance so you stay sharp under pressure. The most badass military in the world uses this kind of energy every day. Now you can too. From training to eliminate America's enemies to smoke-checking terrorists, Go Pills keep the mission fueled. Real world tested by high-level tactical communities. Now available to you. Greenlight the beast in